Hello, and welcome back to A Mental Break. I'm your host, Taylor Simpson, and on today's episode, we have a crazy special guest, guys. All the way from fucking, I'm not doxing her, but not Nashville, Tennessee. We've got JoJo Scott on the show, everybody.
Hi,
JoJo Scott.
everybody. Hello.
How are you doing, JoJo?
What about yourself, Taylor?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Yes, thank you for having me. I'm very excited.
Yeah, no, like I'm super stoked that you wanted to come on the show and help spread the mental health positivity and awareness and all that good stuff.
100%.
Yeah, all the way from Nashville, Tennessee. You were my first guest out of country.
Oh, I feel real special.
Hang on, are you? Yeah, I think so. I might have to double check that.
Well, we're gonna pretend like that's the case, okay?
Yes,
I'm gonna live in my delusions. I'm so cool.
As of right now, you are the first guest out of Canada. So
Perfect.
there you go. You have the honor bestowed upon you.
What a big honor it is. I mean,
Hey, that's great. That's great.
honestly.
So for those of you tuning in today, I know JoJo because we just played a show recently together. In what was that, June?
Yeah, June.
Yeah, it
That feels
was.
like so long ago, but also
Right?
like a week ago. I don't understand how time works anymore.
I totally agree. It felt like it was like more than 2 months ago, but also last week.
Yeah, it doesn't quite compute in my head.
That is strange. Yeah, no. Yeah, we played a festival here in Toronto, where I'm from, called North by Northeast, and JoJo was playing the same set as my band Wishwell.
Yeah, it was a fun time. It was my
And it
first
was
time in Canada, so
That's right. I keep forgetting that's what you said at the show. You were like, "This is like my first time here," and I was like, "Whoa, welcome to Canada!"
yeah,
Hell yeah, dude.
very exciting things.
What was your experience like in Canada? Because I saw you were here for a couple of days.
Yeah, I'm obsessed. I love
You're
it.
obsessed.
I love it. Like I was
Aw.
like, maybe this is what's gonna happen. I've been like trying to figure out. This is like I go on tangents. This is has nothing to do with
Go for it.
what we're talking about. But I've been like traveling a lot the past year, and I'm like, I want to find a place that feels good to me. And so far, Toronto has been the one place that feels good to me. So maybe I'll make another appearance sometime soon. Who knows?
Okay, you heard it here first, folks, on the podcast. JoJo might be coming to Toronto. We might have just scooped her up and brought her to us. That's great, though. I'm so glad to hear that because I don't know. I feel like I can only speak for myself, obviously, but I feel like I kind of always take it for granted because I live here.
Mm.
And that's probably the case for most people that live in whatever city they're from. It's
Oh,
probably like
100%.
they're so used to being there. Maybe they grew up there. Maybe they were raised there. Maybe they moved there and been there for a few years or whatever. And like
Yeah.
over time, you kind of just get used to being in that space and like you kind of take it for granted sometimes. And so it's
Yeah.
it's always interesting hearing people like come travel in and get their perspective. And they're like, no, it's fucking sick here. Like, I love it here. It's like, well, yeah, I guess it's pretty cool here, you know? Like,
I feel that. So I'm originally from Portland, Oregon, and I was like, get me out of here. I don't want to be here anymore. And then I moved to Nashville, and immediately I was like, why did I feel that way? Like, Portland is the coolest place on this earth. Like, why? What delusion was I living in?
wow. Is there a big difference between Portland and Nashville? Have you found so far?
Yeah, I would say a pretty big difference.
What are some of the different, like, because like most of my audience is Canadian, so like
Okay.
I don't think any of us have any perspective of what. I don't want to speak for everyone, obviously, but I feel like yeah.
I
And
mean,
yeah, go ahead. I'm just
I mean,
curious.
Portland is very weird. It's very like hipster, like
I've heard
eclectic,
that. Yeah,
like
okay, I've heard
yeah.
that.
It's I don't know, it's cool. It's like a lot colder, rainy. Like it's just a beautiful place. And it's just like I don't know, I love that I got to grow up there.
Nice.
Nashville is very more like I mean, it's the South and it's hot and humid and then it gets probably colder than it does in Portland during the winter, which was a big shock to me and just like
Whoa.
Also, just like not to like get into this because like not to talk about politics, but like I grew up in like a very blue state and like moving to a red state was just kind of a big shock to me. So
Right.
yeah.
That's let me get this right. That's Democrat to Republican.
Yeah.
Got it. Or as we say in Canada, liberal to conservative.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, there's not really like it's gotten that extreme on both sides at this point. So
Especially in America. Holy crap. But yeah,
So-
that's a whole other podcast.
yeah, we don't need to talk about that right now. Anyways.
But yeah, is like Nashville very like yeehaw?
It's yeehaw, but kind of in like a camp way.
Yeehaw but camp. Yeehaw but make it camp.
That's what I would say, or at least like the way that I live Nashville. I don't know about like the actual like country people, but like I don't take it too seriously, you know? And it is like a blue city. So like
Right.
yeah.
Okay. Because like I know like Texas is like obviously the yeehaw capital of the world.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that
I've never been to
Tennessee
Texas,
is,
but I'm assuming.
is Tennessee close to Texas or like in the ballpark? No. You're looking at me like no.
It kind of. The thing is, I don't know geography,
Oh, okay,
so
so
don't
it
ask
could
me.
be, and you're
It
like,
could
I don't know.
be. I don't know. I think there's a few states in between because
yeah.
like I know Texas is like a 12-hour drive or something.
Okay,
So
so it's not like super close.
no, they're not like right next to each other, but they're both like southern.
Yeah, they're both like south of. I don't know.
South of
South of
Canada.
something. Well, all of it is south of Canada.
Very true.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so I know JoJo because we played a show. It was her first time in Toronto. We played the same set at North by Northeast. It was a pleasure sharing the stage with you.
Oh yeah, it was pleasure sharing a stage with y'all. Y'all killed it. It was so good. It
Thank
was so
you.
fun.
That's very sweet of you. Yeah, and like I did catch a couple of your songs, which I was happy to. I had a whole crowd of people that were like, "Come to the show," and I was like, "No, I gotta stay and watch JoJo. She's fucking cool."
I appreciate
She
that.
watched she watched all her whole set. Like the least I could do is stay for a couple of songs. So
No,
I'm glad that I did.
You stuck around for a few songs. It
No,
meant
I
a
definitely
lot.
I wanted to for sure. I was like, you were just so friendly, and I was just like, I don't want to leave and not see her play. So I was happy to catch some of your songs, and like you're a very talented artist, I gotta say.
Thank you. I appreciate it. That means a lot.
Your stage presence is really funny. I like your jokes. Your witty banter on stage was really good. Your songs are really like heartfelt and thoughtful, but also
Thank
funny
you.
and like
Yeah, I try
not to be taken like too seriously, but also like
yeah.
yeah.
I like to think of myself as like a comedian when I get on stage, and I know that I'm not. And I know that half the time people are laughing at me, but if I just live in the headspace that I'm hilarious and people are laughing with me,
There you
then
go.
it works. You know what I mean?
That's the mindset to have. Just people are laughing with me. That's all that matters.
Yeah, exactly.
As long as you own it. Like as long as you get up
Exactly.
there and like you don't let it phase you, then you win, right? So
No, exactly. And like I will say, we were talking about this earlier, but just for the pod, for everybody listening, I will say I'm very honored that I didn't give off like the stereotypical American vibe.
oh yeah. Yeah, we were talking off camera a little bit before we started rolling about all kinds of stuff and just catching up on time because I haven't seen JoJo since the show. And I was like trying to think about like American things that weren't negative, and I was like, and she was like, "Well, I'm glad that I didn't come across as any of that." I'm like, "No, you had me fooled. I thought you were just another Canadian act." So
I say sorry weird, so I can't pull it off, you know?
well, apparently we say sorry weird. I don't.
Well, I mean, to y'all I say it weird. To me, you guys say it weird. So like, I guess it's just it is what it is.
Yeah, it's whoever's perspective it's coming from, but saying it weird.
Exactly.
So how do you say sorry?
Oh, just sorry. Now I'm saying it like y'all.
See,
oh my god,
I don't know.
this is not how it
It's like that. There's no difference from what I just said and you said. Sorry.
See, y'all will say it more like I'm not gonna be able to do it, but there is a difference, and it is quite funny. But I think I also kind of just mimic talking the way that people around
I'm
me
sure it's probably
talk.
hard if you hear me say sorry and then you go like, because I think this is my attempt at saying it the American way. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
Like it's more like with an A
Yeah,
than an
yeah,
O.
yeah.
Like sorry.
And y'all say it more like sorry.
There you go. That's how we say it. Yeah.
Yeah.
We really emphasize the O.
Mm,
Sorry.
we don't do that.
Yeah, you're like, sorry.
Sorry.
Sorry, eh? Okay, it's funny. Like, do you know that stereotype about Canada?
Yeah, oh, I 100% know. My dad recently in the past few years started working for like this Canadian like welding bureau thing, and like he'll like jokingly go like, "Hey, now," and I'm like, "Dad, you can't do that.
You're not Canadian, bro.
We're not from there."
That's awesome. And it's so funny because like, not that I was like, I lived in the UK for a year,
Okay.
and I got like bamboozled by people with like me living there with my Canadian accent and the way that I say things compared to what they say.
Yeah.
And they would always like nitpick at me about like the sorry and like how I would say like Coors Light because we say Coors.
Oh, okay.
Not-
Instead of cores.
Yeah, because Coors is how you
Coors
guys
Light.
say it,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
in England it's the same thing. They say like Coors Light,
yeah.
but we say Coors Light. It's like it's that O, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then the A thing, and I was like, I don't say A that much. And I was like trying to convince myself that I
And
didn't say A that
And
much,
then
and
you
then like,
realize you do.
and I'm like, oh shit, I do that a lot. God damn it, a walking Canadian stereotype.
For real. It's okay. I say like every other word, so I'm giving West Coast stereotype.
Yeah, but who
And
doesn't say like though? I feel like that's a common thing nowadays.
maybe.
I say like a lot too.
Okay.
I feel like that might be
Okay.
just like an internet thing that kind of spread in our
Mm,
generation, you know? And
that's
like the
real.
millennial/Gen Z generation, it's like, see, I just said it. It's just like, and like,
Just like and like
it's
like
just,
do you hear like
yeah, it's just like oh my God, I can't, like now I'm saying it all the time. It's acting as an in-between word,
yeah.
like a
It is.
transition
It's
word.
instead of it's like
There you go.
yeah.
Exactly. Now I'm gonna think about that the whole podcast. That's great.
I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to do that to you.
No, it's okay. It's okay. It's fine. Like it's totally fine. But yeah, sorry to get back on topic here. Sorry, folks listening and watching at home. Yeah. So I know JoJo because we played the show together. She was very friendly. She's a very talented artist from originally Portland, as we've now discovered, but
Yes.
now living in Nashville, which is like the singer-songwriter capital of America, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, pretty much.
Next to, I guess, like LA, maybe, I guess, but
Yeah. It's definitely one of the like three like big music cities in the US. So
yeah, it's like what? Nashville, LA, and then
in
maybe
New
New York? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are like it's like the three biggest cities, I guess. Well, maybe not
Yeah.
Nashville, but New York and LA for sure.
Definitely those two. Definitely not Nashville, but
Yeah, but Nashville is just where all like the cool singers go.
I mean, apparently I'm here. So
Yeah, I mean, there you go. You're one of the cool singers.
exactly.
But yeah, so like for the people watching and tuning in at home, how about you just like introduce yourself a little bit further so that they get to know who's on the show today?
Cool. Yeah, my name's JoJo. It's nice to meet y'all. I am a 70s pop artist. That's like the best way I describe it. I love the 70s. I love the fashion, the music, just everything about it. And I don't know, I make funky songs and I hope one day that they will pay my bills. That's all you really need to know about me.
Hell yeah, awesome. I just saw you had a new song come out recently, right?
Yeah, I just dropped a song, I think last week,
I was
question
gonna
mark?
say, I feel like it was last week that I saw it. It was
Yeah, it was last week because I had a release show.
There you
Yeah,
go.
it was last week.
nice, and it's called. Hang on, I did some research. It's called Disco Ball.
It is called Disco Ball.
Boom,
Like
there
I
you go.
said, I love the 70s.
There you go. That's that 70s theme right there.
Yes.
That's awesome. Do you want to talk
Thank
a little bit
you.
about the song?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's kind of on brand for this podcast.
Okay.
So there was this quote that I heard when I was like 18 or 19, and it's like something about how disco ball are just hundreds of pieces of broken glass put back together. So like, why can't you just look at yourself like in Sort of the vein of like, you might be broken, but you're beautiful. So like, I took
Wow.
that concept and like, I wrote a song about it. I was like really in my feels because I just got rejected by this cute person on Hinge. And so I was
Oh,
like, gosh darn, let me just write a song about how fabulous I am.
nice. Yeah, pump yourself
Yeah,
up.
exactly.
That's great. No, I like that message a lot. I don't think I've ever heard that quote about a disco ball, it being like a bunch of pieces of glass put back together, and it's kind of like an interesting metaphor for like someone's broken spirit.
Yeah, definitely.
That's really cool, and I'm glad that you heard that and you were like, oh, this is a song.
No, like I resonated with it immediately and like that song just like clicked. There's something special about it. I like held on to it for a really long time. I wrote it when I was like 19, and so it's been like 3 years since I wrote it, and I don't know. I just wanted to make sure like all the pieces fit right, you know,
Pun
like
intended.
exactly.
No, I totally get that. I've had songs in our repertoire for Wishwell that's like you kind of sit in the back burner for a while, and then you're just waiting for that right moment to release it,
Yeah,
like where it feels like it's all put together. Like it's like
definitely.
almost there,
It's
but then
almost there,
you're like
but
there's
you have to
something that
wait
could
till it
take
feels right. Yeah.
exactly. You gotta wait till the disco ball gets strung up on the ceiling with
Yeah,
lights
and then the lights
blasting at it,
flashing at it,
and
yeah.
you spin it, and it's like, okay,
And
now
then
we're
it's
good.
like now we're going. Now
Now
we're on
we're
our roll.
now we're cooking. Now we're cooking with steam. I don't know what the expression is. Whatever.
I don't either. So we're just gonna pretend like that made sense.
Y'all know what I meant. Now I'm saying y'all.
Exactly.
You're saying sorry, and I'm saying y'all.
Yeah, we're really rubbing off on each other.
I feel like by the end of this podcast, I'm gonna become Nashville, and you're gonna become Canadian.
Perfect.
That's gonna be great. Great. All right, so that's JoJo, everybody. Again, thank you, JoJo, so much for coming on the show. Really appreciate it.
Of course.
Glad that we can make this work.
Yes.
Wish it could be in person, but that's okay. Virtual works too.
I'm a little too far to be in
Little bit, just a little bit, a little bit.
just a few hundred miles.
Maybe next time you're back in Toronto, or if Wishwell ever makes it down to Nashville, we could do
I was
a.
about to say, let me know if y'all ever come down here though, because that
Yeah,
would be sick.
that'd be fucking awesome. Yeah, I'd love that. We'll get down there one day.
Hell
We just
yeah.
need to get a fucking visa and all the other bullshit that goes with it.
Oh
That's
yeah,
that's the thing that
'cause
annoys me, because not to I'm not attacking you because it's not your fault.
oh no, but like I know what you mean.
Because an American artist coming to Canada to perform doesn't need a visa,
Mm-mm.
but
I
for
literally
Canadian artists going to America have to have a visa for every show.
wait, even if it's not paid.
Well, there's a loophole there probably, but
Well, yeah, but still, like, why are you
you
coming
don't want
down
to
if
try
it's
it
not a
because
paid show?
if they find out that it's like you're gonna get
Then you're a
deported.
little bit fucked. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you might not have a chance to play in America again if they find out. So it's like,
No, that's real. Which, like, thank God for Canada, because, like, well, not to get into this already, but here we are. I was a little bit depressed before I went to Canada. And so I didn't do any research. And I got up there and I like got to like wherever they were checking my passport and they were like, "What are you here for?" And I was like, "I'm playing a show." And they were like, "Oh, okay. Where is it at?" And I was like, yada yada, and I was like, "Is it paid?" And I was like, "Yeah," and like whatever. And then like they're like, "Okay, cool. Have a good show." Just
yeah.
put me through.
They're like, all right, come on in.
And I didn't realize until after I got through how bad of a situation that could have been because I didn't look it up. I didn't even I was
Oh my
like,
God.
YOLO.
You went in blind. Wow. Well, you lucked out on that one then. Yeah, because
I really did.
we can't do that going that way.
Yeah, no.
Because America's
Someone-
like, you need a visa to play in America.
Yeah. A little dumb, but that's
Yeah.
okay.
And it costs a lot of money too, man. Like it sucks.
I'm sure it
'Cause,
costs like so much money.
You have to get through so we have to sign up with an agency here in Canada
Okay.
first and foremost to have an agency number to apply to
Okay.
get a visa. So we have to pay for that to even just apply for a visa. So that's one cost, and then when you
Okay.
get that agency number, then you can apply for it's called a P2 visa
Yeah.
that allows you to perform and collect money in America because you have to pay tax on it, like American tax. So you get the P2 visa, which is like I think $2,000 or something for the year, maybe less. I don't know. I can't remember. but it's a lot of money.
No, that sounds about right. That sounds about what America would charge for some dumb shit.
It's a crazy number. I don't think it's like absurd, but it's definitely like you'd have to be touring for like a whole month to be able to break even, basically.
Yeah.
So it's super tough. That's why it's so hard for Canadian artists to break into the American scene, because it's just so difficult.
No, that is understandable. I did not know all of that.
Yeah, but again, that's a whole other podcast that I could go off on it, like how the odds are stacked against Canadian artists.
That's so real. I'm so sorry.
Be grateful to be an American artist. No, I'm kidding. What was I gonna say now? Fuck. We got on a huge tangent again. This is gonna happen all podcast long, I think.
Yeah. We're both just very prone to it.
I think so. I think it's the ADHD brain.
Yeah, just a little bit.
You know? Speaking of ADHD, JoJo.
Yeah.
Since you're on the mental health podcast, a mental break, let's talk about mental health.
Let's do it.
So I guess I'll just start off with like a basis question. Like, do you suffer from any mental health that you know of, or like that you could like, even if you haven't been diagnosed, like, are there, symptoms of depression, or do you feel like anxious, or like anxiety, like anything like that sort of thing?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. Walk us through that.
I've been depressed since I was like 12.
Okay.
And it's been a lot of ups and downs for me. And I've always been anxious. Like, I remember like, oh God, like from like when I was a child, like I used to dance when I was a kid. Like, and I'm talking like 2 years old to like 9 years old is when I was dancing, and I would be so anxious to be late for my classes because I didn't want to get in trouble, and like we had to be on time, and we had to like, it was bad. Like, it is what it is. But
sure,
I've been dealing with that for some time.
Right. So you're saying it's like a little bit of depression, well, not a little bit. It sounds like a lot of depression.
Yeah, I think the depression definitely like fuels the anxiety, if that makes sense.
Sure. Yeah. To give you a perspective too, JoJo, like I am diagnosed with depression, anxiety, and OCD.
Okay.
I was diagnosed when I was 13 years old with all three of them at the same time, which is, hey,
that's a lot all at once. Yeah.
Yeah. So I can definitely like, from my own experience at least, vouch that like the depression and anxiety are very much fueled by each other, for each other. Yeah. Like the metaphor I keep bringing up, and hopefully you get this reference, because I know there's a bit of an age gap between us, but do you know the movie The Shining?
I know it. I haven't seen it though.
Okay, do you know about the two like twin girls that are in the end of the hallway?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's all you need to know.
Okay.
So I use the metaphor a lot that like my depression and my anxiety were like the twins in the hallway of The Shining.
Oh, yes. See that? That makes sense. Yeah. That's real.
Hand in hand, like walking creepily down the hall,
Yeah.
That's what I would use a lot. I've said it like probably 7 times in this podcast, so viewers, I'm sorry. Bear with me. It's just a good metaphor.
It is a good metaphor. And listen, we love a good metaphor here. We're songwriters.
That's what we do. That's what we do. We can't say things literally. We have to use metaphors.
Yeah, exactly. We gotta be poetic about it.
Or similes or whatever. I can never remember the difference between a simile and a fucking metaphor, though. Or analogy? Wait, analogy? Yeah, an analogy and a metaphor.
I don't know the difference between any of them. I struggled real bad in like high school, like English.
That's fair. Yeah. Okay, JoJo, walk us through where the depression started from, do you think? Like, could you trace back to like a certain time of your life where you really started to notice it?
Yeah, so I think I've always just been kind of like, well, a little bit anxious, a little bit shy. I don't know what you want to call it. Like, I was very much an introvert. I like was going through some hard stuff with like friends in middle school, and like both of my siblings had like moved out, and like I just was feeling alone. And I think that's kind of when it started to kick into gear. And And I mean, it's been ups and downs. I kind of like, it's kind of sad that I define my life in like the way, oh, like that period of time when I was really depressed, or oh, that period of time, like, you know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of like how I can look back on my life and like look at like, those are like my markers or like milestones, you know what I mean?
Sure. Almost like chapters of your life, kind of.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it got real bad during COVID.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, and then I moved to Nashville and I moved with friends, but it was very like isolating to be away from like everyone I loved and cared about basically.
Yeah.
'Cause it's like it's far. Portland is like 2,000 miles away from Nashville. It's like a 4-day drive. It's
Yeah, it's
not
far.
easy. Yeah. And I mean, again, like ups and downs for the first 2 years that I was here, and it got really bad last year. Like really bad, and I started going to therapy for the first time.
I mean,
Um,
congrats to going to therapy. That's huge.
yeah, shout out to my therapist.
Yeah, no, that's big.
Um, but I think it's definitely like even when like things are going like better and it's not as bad, it's still there. You know what I mean? Like it's still on
Yeah.
my shoulder. Like
Hmm.
it's not always like I can't get out of bed, I can't like eat, I can't shower, I can't whatever, but like it's still like looming over, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, this past year was the worst it had like ever gotten, and I think a lot of my like most depression things, episodes, milestones, markers, whatever we want to call them.
Yeah.
Like it's normally triggered by like social things, I guess, right? Like when I moved to Nashville, I
Okay.
felt isolated.
Right.
I went through some stuff with a lot of drama this last year, and it was just a lot. It was a lot to go through.
Sure. Yeah. Do you
Yeah.
want to dive into that? You don't have to if you don't want to,
I
but
mean, it's not really anything like too crazy. It was just a lot for me to handle at the time.
sure. Yeah.
But like there was some issues with some friends I had here. I had basically cut myself off from like my friends and family back home because I was just so sad. And then, I lost my dog, who was like my best friend.
Oh, I'm sorry.
My therapist ended up moving out of state, so I had to get a new therapist. I
Ugh,
went
that's
through like
tough.
my first heartbreak, which was quite interesting. But it was just like everything all piled together. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think it was just like one
Yeah.
thing, but like everything happening all at once was like a lot for me to deal with.
Yeah, they say things
But
comes in threes, so it sounded like things came in like sixes for you.
yeah, I mean, well, okay, but here's the thing, right? It's like I would say last summer it came in a 3-pack, and then like okay, started making some progress, and then it got real bad again during the winter, and like 3 more things happened, and then it just progressively like I was like I'm not getting better, sort of thing.
Right.
So yeah,
It was
love
like
that for me.
the snowball effect of just like accumulating and accumulating, and you're like, oh no, I can't stop rolling.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot to manage all at the same time. Um, and we joked about the ADHD. Do you resonate with that?
So I probably have ADHD. It's not diagnosed though, but like everyone else in my family has it, so I'm sure. I'm sure
Yeah.
it's there.
See, I'm trying to draw some sort of correlation now between this because like I've been doing this podcast for the last 4 years, and even in the 4 years of me doing this podcast, I've seen a spike in the amount of people that are coming on the podcast saying that they're figuring out now that they have ADHD, or they just got recently diagnosed with ADHD, or
Yeah.
all sorts of the spectrum, right? And it always seems to be in the same kind of age group, like millennial
Mm.
to Gen Z, like
Yeah.
that, like not quite 40, but not quite like a young kid, but like that demographic that grew up in the 2000s of the turn of technology, and like do you even remember a time where you didn't have technology? Because you like grew up in the 2000s,
Yeah. I don't think I do. Like I remember watching like YouTube videos when I was like a little kid, and like
right?
I got like my siblings had phones when I was like 5 or 6 or 7 or something. Yeah, like I've had it pretty much my whole life, you know?
Yeah, so that's like the point I'm making is like there's like a whole generation of people that have never known what it's like to not have access to everything all the
All at
time.
once. Yeah.
And I feel like my generation, like the generation just before me, not generation, but like people that are a few years younger older than me, sorry, are like the last bit of the demographic that like remembers a point where there wasn't,
Yeah.
you know, like when I grew up, like I didn't have a cell phone. Like I don't even think cell phones were probably a thing maybe when I was a kid, but like they were like the big fucking like
Yeah.
block fucking
Yeah,
phones
yeah,
with like here's this is gonna age me, but like my first cell phone, I only got it because my dad had passed away, and so like I was in charge of my brother a lot. My mom was working,
yeah.
and then my grandma would like babysit us when I got home.
Yeah.
But my mom gave me a phone that you could only call with. There was no texting. There was no
Okay.
like. It had one game on it, which was Snake, where it's
Okay.
like it's a thing like this where it like eats bits and it grows longer, and you can't. I don't know, whatever. And you could just make phone calls. That's it. That was my first
Okay.
cell phone, and I got it when I was like maybe 10 or 11, and it was like this big. It was like a fold out part with an antenna. And like to receive phone calls, I had to pop the antenna open and then flip it down and then like answer. That was my first cell phone.
Yeah, the oldest ones I remember are like the ones that flipped and you could like text.
That was my like fourth phone.
That was my so when I was in 3rd grade, my sister got an iPhone. So my parents gave me my sister's phone and they were like, if you can keep this safe for a year, then you can buy yourself an iPhone. And
Wow.
so I like saved up for an entire year and I kept the phone safe. It didn't work, but then I bought myself an iPhone.
Nice.
Yeah.
And how old were you when you had your first iPhone? Out of curiosity.
Like 9 or 10.
I was out of high school when I had my first iPhone. Now, mind you, like the iPhone was out in high school. I just couldn't afford one. But yeah,
No, that's
holy,
weird.
it's the circling back to the point I was making though, like because now I'm just feeling like I'm aging myself even further down here. I feel like we were at the cusp of, like my generation, your generation, we're at the
Mhm.
cusp of watching that dynamic shift happen
Yeah.
of like accessing all of this information, like Google, and then like YouTube, and like social media, like
Oh my God. Yeah. Social
Facebook,
media.
and then
Ugh.
Instagram, and then TikTok, Twitter, like having all of this shit compiling in our brains at all times.
Yeah.
You know, like I think that really fucked us up because
Well,
now,
I think
like,
that like, and the thing is like our attention span is getting like shorter as like
yeah,
time goes on, and like we keep getting like new things like TikTok. Like my attention span was longer before I had TikTok. Now it's like 7 seconds. I'll be watching a TV show and I'll be like, okay, pause this, do something else because I'm bored.
exactly.
Like it's
Our
pretty bad, right?
attention
Like
spans are so shortened now.
yeah, but I also feel like with like our generations, like there's a lot more acceptance and like vulnerability and like willingness to talk about like mental health, and like there's not much
For sure.
as much of like of a stigma. And so like especially with like the ADHD thing, right? Like I had a friend who got diagnosed a couple years ago and she's older than I am, but her doctor was basically saying like, you know, like they really only tested like little white boys for
Mhm.
ADHD up until like, so those are like the standards of like that you have to have X, Y, and Z to qualify for like if you have ADHD or not. But in
Right.
reality, like people from different genders, people from different races, like they all exhibit like different things. It's not just this one set standard of like, you know? So that's
Yeah,
the other thing is like things are expanding, research is expanding, like
of course.
I don't know, like it's just more accepted, I guess.
I feel like there's more understanding, and I definitely agree
Yeah.
with what you're saying. I feel like people are starting to finally start to take it more seriously
Yeah.
and realize that it's a spectrum and it's not just black and white.
Oh, 100%.
You know what
And
I mean?
like,
And I like it is nice to hear you say that and you feel this way, which is cool. Because I feel it too, but like that's another reason why I started doing this podcast was I feel like there needs to be more
Oh,
You know,
there
like,
always needs to be more. Like, I don't think there could ever be enough of like people talking about it, and I don't think
hmm
like I still don't think like people are like as vulnerable and like open to it as like we should be as like a society. But I also know that like talking to my mom and my dad about like the way that they grew up and stuff, like it's hugely different. Like
for sure.
if you had like anxiety or depression, like you were crazy. You know what I mean? Like that was
hmm
just like how it was.
Yeah, they put you in a straitjacket and put you in a fucking
Yeah.
asylum. Be like, you're
Yeah.
nuts, bro.
Yeah. And so like I don't, at least for me, like I just feel very like lucky to like be able to get help and
Yeah.
like be able to talk to people openly about it, you know? It's oh, but I'm also just very open. Like I'm like I will tell anyone anything if they ask me. You know,
Yeah.
like I'm not
It sounds like we're very similar people in that way. Like I'm a pretty open book. I wasn't always that way. I feel like
yeah.
what I went through kind of, and like with therapy and stuff and time and practice of, opening up and stuff, I finally got to the point where I'm like, it's actually kind of therapeutic to, and I think, we're both artsy people too. So I think
Yeah.
that has something to do with it as well, like
Oh,
innately,
100%.
of expressing ourselves.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I feel like I'm definitely grateful to be living in the world right now in 2024, especially with mental health, because I feel like we've taken huge strides, like
Oh,
to the point where I
100%.
can even have this podcast,
Yeah.
and I'm not gonna get like bombarded with hate comments for
Yeah.
posting stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like my
Yeah.
audience is super accepting and like and grateful that we're having this conversation openly.
Yeah.
Like if I tried to do this 10 years ago,
It wouldn't
it
have been
wouldn't
the
happen.
same.
It wouldn't
Yeah, it wouldn't have
happen.
been the same response at
Like I
all.
would I would get like all these probably these comments and like I wouldn't have the platform for it. I might even be
Yeah.
demonetized. Like it's
Well, even just like thinking about like, okay, 10 years ago, that's when like my depression started and like it took me 10 years to get help because like there was just so much like around it and like I don't know, it's even different now. Like I don't know if they do this in Toronto or Canada or anything, but in the past like 2 years, when you go to like your annual like physical appointment, they make you fill out like this like form about like your mental health and like that's the first thing the doctor makes you do when you sit down in the room. And so like I feel like it is being taken seriously now, I
yeah.
would say.
It's weird and like it kind of sucks that it took this long and for this crazy thing to happen to wake people up about it was COVID.
Yeah, honestly, that did a lot to people, and I think it made people realize how real like mental health struggles are. Like,
Yeah, because I
'cause
think I saw a lot of people that like and heard stories about a lot of people that like didn't suffer from any mental health illness before COVID, and then
yeah.
COVID happened, and they started developing mental health issues.
Well, yeah, I mean, how could you not? I got real depressed during COVID. I was like, I can't leave my house. Like, I have no one to talk to. Like,
And it, like that became like a pandemic in itself. Like
yes.
there was like two pandemics happening. It was like the COVID
Yeah.
virus and then a mental health outbreak.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. It was rough.
And and like I don't know if you saw this stat, but like I guess because like my brand not that sounds so weird to say branding, but like my core values and my beliefs are in
Yeah.
mental health awareness and suicide prevention. Like that's what I care about the most. That's why I do this podcast and why I make these connections with people like you. Um, so like I'm very like not always in tune, but I like try to be the best I can in tune like that sort of world. And I saw this stat that came out after COVID about like obviously the deaths with COVID and stuff like that, which is like obviously fucking terrible. And
Yeah.
I feel so
Yeah.
bad for all these families that lost loved ones during COVID because of the virus. But another silent killer that no one was really addressing because everyone was so focused on the COVID virus was the amount of suicide rate that went up
Yeah.
like during COVID. And like that was a silent killer that like no one was talking about.
I was about to say, I don't think I've even heard anybody talk about that until now. And like now that you say that, I'm like, oh my God, like that must have been like a huge increase.
It skyrocketed.
Yeah.
It was like I think in America alone it went up like 20%,
well, shit.
which is insane.
Yeah.
That's 20% increase from before the year COVID and then 20% after.
Oh, so it just kept going up, really?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Like it increased by 20% extra than it would have normally after COVID.
God.
So, and like, obviously the forefront was the whole COVID virus. I get that. It was
Of course. Yeah.
It was the global pandemic. I understand the gravity of that. But to not shine a light on the mental health aspect and the suicide rates, it just doesn't seem right to me either.
Yeah.
You know, like, why was that so hush hush? Why was it just like swept under the rug, you know?
No, I agree. I mean, it definitely should have had a light shown on it. Like we needed to be talking about that. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah. It should have been addressed of like, hey, we know this fucking big thing's happening that you keep hearing about every fucking day. But also
more people are dying from this other thing.
this other thing that's a default side effect
of
this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, God, I like not to get too much into this because I'm sure we could talk about this for the rest of the episode. I'm sure, but I saw this video of these parents. I think it was somewhere in the States, and they were like, it was like one of the first videos I saw to touch upon this during COVID. Was their 13-year-old son took his own life. He wasn't sick. He didn't have COVID, but the side effects of what COVID brought with all these lockdowns and the no social interaction and like, you know, being a 13-year-old kid and like,
it's hard. Like, and that's the thing is like middle school is already hard enough. Like when you're in person, like I was going through shit when I was like 12, 13 with like the social interactions and the like feeling alone. Like I can't imagine like being like stuck in a room for months
and like being told you can't go out, you can't see your friends,
you can't see your friends. And like when you're 13 you don't get to make those choices for yourself. Like it's like for me, like I was 18, I could hop in my car and go for a drive if I needed to go out, you know what I mean? Like obviously I wasn't going out and like doing things like because for me and personally I was like I'm gonna respect the rules and like but like at least I could go for a walk by myself or I could go for like a midnight drive when I felt like I was like losing it. Like but as a 13-year-old you don't have that.
That option isn't available to you. And so to hear these poor parents' story of like, you know, coming home and finding their kid like that, like that's so traumatizing.
That's horrible.
But yeah, I mean, we can go on about this, but it's just like COVID was a hard time for a lot of people. And you know, to go back to the whole point of like, I do think it's come strides since then, and I'm very happy and grateful to see that. It sucks that it took that for it to be happening, but you know, maybe it took that to get to where we are now. You know, and I'm glad that as a society we're trying to make the right steps to address that issue. You know, 100%. Which is great. But let's get back to you, JoJo.
Oh, okay.
we're on a grander scale there.
We're getting real.
But yeah, so you were saying, you know, that you've been suffering with depression for a while, and the anxiety's always been there as well, and maybe a bit of undiagnosed ADHD.
Probably. Let's be so for real.
Yeah. I guess what I wanted to ask you is like, how does because like I've talked to so many people about this, and like I feel like, you know, everyone is so unique and everyone has their own path and their own experiences. So like, what does the depression, anxiety look like for you?
So this is an interesting question because I have like pretty bad memory. I'm not gonna lie. I have pretty bad memory.
Me too.
Love that for us. Maybe it's an ADHD thing.
Probably.
So I will try to recall, but I started Zoloft in May.
Okay.
So things have like kind of turned around a lot for me. And I'm still struggling with some things, but like leaps and bounds better than I was before.
Congratulations. That's awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate it. But like, I don't know. I guess just like it was really very like hopeless. Like I wanted to quit music. I didn't talk to anybody. I avoided my friends. I avoided my family. Um, I only left my house like when I had to, like when I had work. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And it was just, it was very rough. I am very thankful that like I'm here and I made it to the summer and like it for a while it didn't really feel like I was going to. Um, but like that's when it was like the worst. You know what I mean? Like depression on like a regular day basis. I was just like, I mean, I'm about to say that I would normally cry like 3 or 4 times a day. And that's not normal. So maybe my like, oh, when I wasn't that depressed, it was still pretty bad. So,
Hindsight's a bitch.
yeah, that is a bit. And my anxiety, I think it really was like, it really affected me like socially. Like,
Yeah.
I when I got to Toronto, I was like, oh, I'm an extrovert. I was like making fun of talking to random people on the street. I was like, girl, what happened
Yeah.
to me? Because this is not me 2 weeks ago.
That's how we're
Like,
talking right now.
but no, I still have like anxiety over things, but it's definitely not as bad. Like I drive on the highways now, which was like a big thing for me. I was like in a car crash when I was a kid and like
Whoa.
almost died. So like
Damn.
driving on the highways was like a little bit scary. Not that the car crash happened on the highways, but I associated it
But
with
yeah,
you're driving faster. It can happen easier.
sure.
So like I don't know, things have been better. I definitely like I don't know. Anxiety's a bitch though. But I've like learned coping skills for it too this past year. Being in therapy is so good. We love
It
that.
definitely helps. It definitely helps. And I'd
Yeah.
love to get into that more for sure. Um, okay, Jojo, we have two segments that we do in the pod.
Okay, give it to me.
The first segment is called the Real Reels,
Okay.
which is the part of the pod where we kind of strip back everything and it's like a true human experience. You know, no bullshit. Calling it like it is. You know, if the person's able to, obviously. I never would force anybody to divulge anything they don't want to.
Yeah.
But this goes back to what we were saying earlier about like, you know, like creating that vulnerability and breaking down that stigma surrounding the conversation.
Oh,
You know, like
100%.
suicide's a fucking issue.
It is, yeah.
And, you know, I know it's trigger for some people, and then I apologize if you're watching or listening, like, you know, trigger warning in case that affects you. Obviously, we want to be respectful, but at the same time, like, I feel like the more we talk about it, the more it'll be normalized, and the more people can understand the thought process behind people that find themselves in that situation.
Yeah.
And it can be talked about in a more neutral light than a negative light, you know? And so that being said, there's only really one question in this segment,
Okay.
and it's just what have been some of the hardest moments for you thus far in your life?
Oh gosh.
And like I said, feel free to go as deep as you want or not. It's completely up to you.
I mean, I think it varies, right? Like, I 3 years ago, I would have said the hardest thing was moving to Nashville alone, and the year before that, I would have said like I was almost on The Voice and then they like sent me home like a few days before my blind audition and like
Oh,
that was like a kick in my gut. You know what I mean? Like and that
yeah.
was like probably the hardest moment at that time in my life. But in all honesty, like this year has been real tough until the past like month and a half. Um there was a point like in the span of like 3 months like I got my heart broken like again by the same person.
Oof.
My dog died and then my therapist left. And like that I think was the worst that it's ever been. For me so far. But we'll see. Life is crazy.
Life is crazy. and you have a lot of life ahead of you.
Yeah, exactly.
But I hope, like, like obviously there's still gonna be lows. You can't avoid that. It's part of living in this ball of water in the middle of the fucking galaxy that we call the Milky Way. But
Yeah.
um, hopefully what you've gone through so far now has prepared you a little bit more for the future, so that the lows won't hit you as much as they would before, right? So,
Oh, yeah, exactly. Well, and I think like I don't know, just like experiencing hard things gets you ready for the next thing. And it might hit
hmm
harder or it might be a little bit easier, but like you build skills to like deal with it and cope. So, yeah.
yeah, I think it took me a long time to realize this, but I think that's just part of growing up.
Yeah.
And like there could be moments where like you really feel like it's not fair, and you're like, why me? You know what I mean? Like, and I'm sure I could speak for everybody on that. Like, I think we all feel like that at some point in our life. Like, why me? Like, fuck. Like, why does this keep happening? And like, you keep getting knocked down, and like you keep getting back up again, and getting knocked down again. It's like, but it's like as you get older, I think you start to realize that that's just part of growing up
Yeah,
in this crazy
definitely.
world. And like, yeah, it sucks. It really does suck sometimes, but there's also gonna be good times. And
Oh,
you got to remember the good
100%.
times will pull you through a lot of the
Yeah.
bad times.
Yeah, and
Um,
it's hard sometimes when you're in that mindset that like
hmm
nothing ever good is ever gonna happen again, you know what I mean? But
Oh,
like
and
at the end of the day,
100%.
like it is gonna get better. So,
Yeah. And I mean, like, not to get too personal here, but like, and like my listeners and viewers know this already about me, but I've attempted 3 times.
okay.
Um, and I'm pretty open about it because that's the point of why I do what I do. To bring awareness to it, right?
Yeah.
And I'm still here, and I'm so fucking grateful that those attempts didn't work, because God, would I be upset if I knew what I had to look forward to in my life.
Yeah.
You know what I
I was about
mean?
to say, like, everybody listening to this podcast is grateful that you're still here. I am, your family, your friends. Like, it's just, I think it's easy to lose perspective about how important you are as a person. And I just hope you now know that, like, how valued and important you are. So,
Thank you, and same goes to you.
thank you. I appreciate it.
We're both here for a reason,
We are.
you know. Maybe it was to have this conversation. To have this conversation.
Exactly. And maybe, yeah, if this was the reason, then love that for us.
Yeah, that's great. Did you ever have? This might be a little bit too personal. I apologize. You don't have to answer, but did you ever have a moment where you were at like the lowest, where that thought crossed your mind at all, or?
Um, I don't think I ever got to the point where I was like thinking about doing that, but I definitely got to the point of like I cried myself to sleep every night for like almost a year, wishing I wasn't alive.
Right.
So, it's not great, but like
hmm
I don't know.
That's a tough
Life,
feeling to have, though.
yeah.
And like, um, it's hard for me to describe too, because it's like my attempts were quite a while ago now. And I'm also medicated again, which is a blessing in disguise, honestly, because now I feel so much better.
Yeah. It does
Um,
wonders.
it really does. And for anyone that's like watching or listening that's like scared to get on medication, I totally understand where you're coming from. Because I was scared for years to get back on medication
Oh,
again,
yeah.
because I didn't want to become reliant on medication. That was my whole thing.
Yeah.
Um, but if you need it, you need it.
No, and I was terrified of going on medication and it was really hard. And like the adjustment period too was like so hard, but now that I'm like gotten to the point where I am, I'm like, oh, this was the best decision I've ever made in my life.
Yeah,
Like, I'm so glad that I did that for
yeah,
myself, you know? Like,
yeah. I'm right there with you. I agree. Like now, like it seems like both of us are in a upward trajectory. It seems like, which is great.
yes. Let's
Um,
go.
yeah, yeah. I feel like I'm on a roller coaster right now. I keep going between like the
The
negative
peaks
and the
and valleys,
positive. Like
yeah.
that's again, that's life. But
Yeah.
what I wanted to say was, I remember when I was in those moments, like you were saying about your experience, about like after all that you went through, and then you were crying yourself to sleep at night, wishing that you weren't here. Like, that's a really tough place to be in.
Yeah.
And I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that. And I know for myself, at least, when I was in those moments, it's like you kind of get tunnel vision. Like I almost like compare it to like you're like wearing blinders, and like
Hmm.
you can't really see anything. Like your brain is like so messed up that you can't really see outside of the blinders, and all you see is like this tunnel of negativity.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing is like you can't see anything that's good. Or at least I couldn't in that moment. Like it was very dark, like
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that's what a lot of people on the outside don't really understand about it, is that like it's not like we want to be doing this. Like it's
yeah.
not like you wanted to be crying yourself to sleep, wishing that you were dead every night.
Yeah, definitely not my like, oh, I can't wait to do this today moment, but
Yeah, it's not really your cup of tea. Like,
no.
and like I didn't want to feel like I had to do what I had to do, in the
Yeah.
like back when I was doing that. Like for someone to reach a point where that's the only outcome they can see
Yeah.
or think about in your case, like that's a lot, man.
It's a lot, and it's really heavy to like carry that with you. You know what I mean?
A
Like,
hundred
and
percent.
move throughout your day and like try to be like, oh, everything's fine, and it's like it's not fine. Like,
No, yeah, and you're like wearing this mask or this facade that everything's
yeah.
okay on the outside, but really you're fucking dying on the inside,
Yeah.
or wishing that you were dead on the inside.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think part of the stigma, I think, is that like people, I've heard this so many times, where people say like how selfish and how like, not arrogant, but like how one-sided or like one-track
Mhm.
minded it is. Um, and I mean, like, I get where they're coming from when they say these things because they're on the outside looking in. They don't understand what the person's going through.
Yeah.
So I understand the sentiment behind it, but at the same time, it's like you don't you don't understand what that person's going through.
Well, and even like if like you have been depressed before, like you still don't understand their unique experience and like the things that they have to deal with on like a daily basis and like the way that they're seeing things.
Right.
Because like I now that like I've been on medication, like I can look at something that I used to think was horrible and like would make me so upset or whatever, and be like, oh, this is actually really beautiful. And I understand why things happen this way, or oh, I understand why X, Y, and Z said this and that. And like, you know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
it's, yeah. I'm, yeah, I feel what you're saying, where it's like, I understand to an extent, like what they're saying, but they also just don't get it,
Yeah.
you
And
know?
it's easier for them to stand on the outside and go, "You're just being selfish. Like, how could you think
Yeah.
that?
Well,
How
it's
could you
easier to
do that?"
pass
It's like,
judgment than have to look in to themselves or even to the situation of what happened or what am I struggling with and like address things. So,
yeah, it's almost like they're taking it as like a personal attack on them.
mhm.
Like, how could you do this to me?
Mhm.
It's like it's not about you.
Mhm.
Like that person is going through the worst shit they've ever been through to the point where it's making them want to kill themselves.
Yeah.
The last thing they're thinking about is you.
Yeah.
They're not thinking about anything. Their brain chemistry is so
Yeah.
messed up that they can't see clearly. And that was my case.
Well,
Like I couldn't
yeah.
see anything but that.
No, I totally get that. For me, it was like the same like five negative things running on a loop in my head every day.
Yeah.
Like, and it's just I couldn't see anything else besides that. So,
It's like a broken record player.
yeah.
It just keeps playing the same song again and again and again.
Yeah.
And it's like until a third party or you snap out of it and you lift off that needle, you're just gonna keep saying the same thing or seeing this or like hearing the same shit.
Yeah,
So it's
totally.
it's tough. And so I don't know if you're watching or listening and you are trying to understand. Maybe you have a loved one or maybe you have a friend that's going through something similar and you're trying to understand and you're watching this podcast to get some insight. This is what it's like. But there is hope though. Like I'm not trying to be fucking hopeless over here, like a super negative Debbie Downer. Like I'm still here. Like, I made it through all the shit that I went through, and JoJo's still here too after, going through a year of crying themselves to sleep and like wanting to not be here anymore. And look, we both fought through and we're both here still.
Yeah.
So like just know that there is a way out. I would say you have to be patient. You have to listen.
Yeah, you have to have a lot of empathy and like understanding and
Yeah.
like care for
And
the
give them
person.
grace.
Yes,
As
that's
much
a
grace
big
as you
thing.
possibly can.
Yeah.
Because they're going through a world of hurt. And they might say some things or do some things that aren't like themselves or that you don't necessarily agree with, but just know that's not really them talking. It's the depression. And,
And I mean, obviously, on that vein, if something crosses a boundary and it's like harmful to you, like stand up for yourself, but also
Sure,
know
of
that
course.
like sometimes I was like, hey, I just can't make it to this today. Like, I'm
Mhm.
sorry it's last minute, but like I just can't do it. And like it was nothing towards like the people I had to say that to, but it was like towards the fact that I couldn't get out of bed and I hadn't showered in like a week. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
there's obviously a need for like understanding, but also make sure that to the people listening that y'all aren't getting like hurt and in that same position either. So
100%.
yeah.
100%. Thank you for covering both sides. I feel like I was going in. I was going.
No, like I appreciate the going in because it's really important, but I also think that there's like a lot of guilt around that too from like a loved one's perspective.
100%.
And
100%.
like I also understand that perspective because like I've been in
Mhm.
their shoes before too. So like
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
It's definitely a delicate balance for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's get out of the darkness.
Yeah, let's be positive.
Let's get out of the darkness. I mean, hey, that's the real shit though. That's why it's called the real reels.
Yeah, we got real deep there.
We got real deep there. And thank you for going that to that
Yes.
depth with me.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Of course. I'm a little bit scared for my parents to listen to this, but that's fine.
Mom, Dad, if you're listening, I'm sorry on JoJo's behalf.
I'm okay now. I promise.
Yeah, she's fine. She's right there.
I'm doing great.
She's thriving, living her best life, disco balls, all that good shit.
Hell yeah.
All right, so the next segment we have is the rainbow segment.
Okay, love. I love this.
Yeah, so this is coming out of the darkness, presumably. Obviously, like,
Okay.
life is going to be full of twists and
Ups and
turns.
downs, but like, yeah.
But it seems like we're both on a good trajectory.
hmm
And it sounds like from what you described to me, like, you're seeing a new therapist now, which seems to be helping a lot.
Yeah.
You were talking about being on medication. So, like, yeah, so the rainbow segment's just like, what have you learned from and grown and like, how do you manage your day to day with mental health now versus like when you weren't in that place before? Like,
Yeah.
take us through like the positive. Take us over the rainbow.
I got you. Okay, so last year I started therapy because I got to like a kind of scary place and I was like, okay, I need help. So I started going to therapy and like I started learning coping skills, like things to do when I was like getting really anxious. Which was great because I went to Europe to visit a friend this last winter or whatever, but I was like almost having like panic attacks on like the train and stuff. So like those came in clutch.
Yeah, no
Okay.
kidding.
But like, for me it was just very hard. I don't know if I've ever like coped super well with like I mean, I am very much like I put on like a face and like I can be smiley and happy when I'm around people and like but at this stage like it was just getting really hard to do that and then things just progressively kept getting worse. So, started discussing medication with my old therapist and then she ended up moving before I was able to get on it. And I think that might have been like the roughest part, like the first couple weeks, like I felt numb, like I was like I don't feel like myself. But I don't know, like it was my first day in Toronto actually. I was like walking around the city and I got a little bit lost and I was getting some ice cream and I was like walking to do y'all call them like streetcars or something?
Yep. Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
streetcars.
So where I was trying to go in the first place to get picked up by a streetcar or whatever. And I just like had this moment where I was like, I'm so happy I'm alive right now. And like
Aw.
I'm so happy to be doing music. And like that was like a big thing for me because like music was my coping strategy through the depression. But when I got to the point where I was like, I don't even want to do music anymore, like
Mm.
that's where got like real scary because I like basically lost hope in like everything that I loved. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But like having that like freeing feeling like off my chest, like I was like I felt like the weight of the world lift off my shoulders. And like I still use like the anxiety coping mechanisms and skills or whatever that I was taught. And like right now I feel like I'm in like the stages of like relearning how to have emotions on like a normal like normal is relative, but
Sure.
like on a better standard of like than what I was doing before. Because before it was like even the happy moments were like really not like sad to me. You know what I mean? Like I'd be happy
Mm-hmm.
even then I'd like take a moment to myself and be like, I don't like this isn't gonna last or like I still feel alone. And like being able to just like savor those moments now and just like be like present, I think is very beautiful. And I haven't experienced that in a very long time. And so I'm kind of just like eating up. But I also am like trying to learn that like it's okay to be sad. I've been very anxious about being sad, but it's like I'm still
Mm-hmm.
grieving things and I'm still like working through like things that don't just magically disappear when you start like medication. Like I'm
Mm-hmm.
not saying medication is a quick fix to everything.
Right.
Um, but yeah, it's just been sorry, that's my roommate's dog. She likes to howl when
I was
people
like,
walk
what is
by the
happening?
house. Yeah, yeah. I know everyone thinks it's like my roommate doing vocal warm-ups and I'm like, no, it's dog just either singing along to music playing or someone's walking by the house.
Wow, even the dogs in Nashville are singers.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
So I'm in my sparkly rainbow sunshine era right now, and I love that for myself.
That's so good to hear. That's awesome. What a good rainbow segment that was. I'm glad it sounds like you're doing a lot of self-discovery, which is good.
Yeah,
Do
definitely.
you feel like um when you got on the medication it just kind of cleared a little bit more
So I
so you
think
could work more on yourself?
yeah, and I think that's where I'm at with it now is like, okay, now that I'm like adjusting and I'm like, oh yeah, when I get sad now, like I'm not gonna be sad forever and like I don't have to
Mm-hmm.
freak out about these things anymore, like whatever. Now I'm like, okay, once I get this like base level down of like, okay, I can handle my emotions now, um, it's been a lot easier to like start like trying to chip away at some of the other issues that I still have to work through, you know? Like
Right, right. It just gives you like the platform to stand on.
no, exactly. And like that's another thing is like even if you aren't like depressed or anxious or have any other like mental health struggle, like I think therapy is important because we've all gone through
Mm-hmm.
life and gone through shitty things and like
Yep.
it's good to have someone to talk to about that and work through things like I
100%.
don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm definitely a huge proprietor of therapy, regardless of your situation. Like, I think
Yeah.
everyone needs to go to therapy at least once in their
No, I
life.
agree.
I mean, I've been going for the last like 7 years, I think. So maybe even 8 years
Hell yeah.
now. Yeah,
That's
and like
awesome.
I've had the same therapist for 8 years,
Oh, that's so
which is
nice.
like I know super rare, and I'm like eternally
Well,
grateful. But
I think it's like when you find the person you click with. Like I would have stayed with my therapist. The thing is though is like I don't this is bad. I don't have insurance in the state of Tennessee. So I'm going to
sure,
like a sliding scale clinic. And it's based on like income. And so I'm working with like my therapists, both of them have been like interns. And so when they graduate, like they either move away or they move to a different clinic. And so it's just like I will probably cycle through more therapists. But I would love to one
that's
day find
part
a
of the
therapist that
journey.
it's like,
Yeah,
this is the person.
yeah, yeah. You'll find that person you click with, and then hopefully it'll work out where that you can keep seeing that person for longer
Yeah.
once you make that connection. Because that's another thing that's hard too. Like people like often give up right away when they don't
Mm.
find the therapist that works for them. It's like
Yeah.
no, like you got to keep trying. Like
I
it's not
know.
gonna
And
happen overnight. Like
exactly. And it's like you can't expect like a random stranger you meet on the street to be like your best friend and you trust them with all your deepest darkest secrets. So like your first therapist not might not work out. I was really lucky. I loved my first therapist,
Yeah.
and she was great. But like, it's there. Finding a therapist is almost like dating. You have to find the
Essentially.
click. Yeah, you have
Yeah.
to find someone who clicks with you. Yeah.
I went through 3 or 4 before finding the person I met now that I've
Yeah.
been seeing for the last 8 years. So it's
And
like,
then you're like, well, just stay with them because y'all clicked.
and now it works.
And it's, yeah, exactly.
Like I think for me, it's like, I just learn a lot from her,
Mm.
like more than the other ones
Yeah.
previous. And I think to those out there that maybe are considering going to therapy and like, or like are looking into options and stuff like that, just prepare yourself for like, don't expect the first one to be the one.
And it's like, give them like 3-4 sessions because you might not click on the first session. Like,
Totally.
that's real.
Yeah.
But like, give them a few sessions, and if you're still not feeling it, there's no shame in being like, hey, I'm gonna go with someone else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. But just know that person, you will find that person and you will start learning from them, and it'll open up so many doors for you.
Yeah,
Doors that you didn't even know that you could open.
exactly.
You know, I feel like JoJo has experienced that. I think you can pretty much say that.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, and I know that I can say
endorse
that.
therapy with I say it with my full
Whole
chest.
chest.
Like,
Okay, so outside of therapy, what other cool things have you been doing that keep your spirits up?
writing has been like really fun lately, which is so good because I got to a place where I wasn't like songwriting at all. And now I'm like, I have ideas and I'm working on projects and like, so that's been really great. I've been performing a lot more. I just did my first ever full band show, and
Woohoo!
that brought me like so much joy. And I'm like, I need to find more opportunities where I can play with a full band because it just like, I don't know, in my heart of hearts, when I was like 5 years old, I wanted to be a pop star. And so it's like fun to be able to like play and be a pop star. Like, I don't know.
100%.
Maybe I'm not at like an arena, but like I can be a pop star anywhere, okay?
Well, I'll tell you what, if you're ever back in Toronto, I'll play in your band for you.
Okay, I love that. I'm gonna take you up on that offer.
Please do. Please do. If you find yourself back here, let me know. We'll play some 70s pop songs.
Heck yeah.
I'll wear the pop collar with the big chain.
Okay, I love that. That would be a look.
I don't know if I'm going to pull it off or not, but we'll see.
I'm sure you will. You just have to have confidence.
Yeah, I just got to make it look like I chose to wear this, and then I'm like, yeah, I'm rocking it.
Exactly. Just fake it till you make it, and then people will believe it, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, that's great that you found like writing has been helpful and therapy. And are you like a nature girly?
I am, I'll go on a little hot girl walk.
That's
I'm
cool.
not really like a big nature girly, but I don't know, I like to go on walks. And another thing that like I've found like so beautiful and like refreshing is like talking to people I love. Like,
Whoa,
who would have thought
what a
that,
concept.
like, that makes me happier as a person. Like, I don't know, I'm just always out and about hanging out with friends or like calling people back home. Like, I just think that's something that like I really isolated myself from. And
Mhm.
you know, as much as like I'm like, yes, go to therapy and it's important to have that connection, but it's also important to nurture the like friendships and family relationships and everything in life as well. So that
Yeah.
didn't make a whole lot of sense, but it made sense.
No, it did.
So
It totally
we're
did.
gonna go with it.
It totally did. I understood. They understood. We're all clear. Yeah, no, totally. I feel like that's part of the whole human experience of being a person
Yeah.
is to make those connections, right? Like regardless if you're
100%.
extrovert or introvert, like introvert people still need that connection.
Oh, 100%.
You know what I
And
mean?
it's like, I think, at least I don't know what it's like in Canada, but like in America, it's like so like individualistic. And I think like it needs to be like, we need to like take a step back from that and like rebuild like community and like
Mm-hmm. I was just about to say that. I
being
was
there
like,
for each other. Yeah.
we need
like,
communities. Yeah.
exactly.
So I feel like, well, with COVID and social media and everything, I feel like it's
Mm-hmm.
kind of divvying us up all individually or in smaller groups than it used to be. And like, I miss the whole community feeling, you know?
Yeah,
There's pockets of it, obviously. You just got to find it, but it should be more accessible, though.
definitely.
Just like this podcast should be more accessible.
Exactly, y'all. Share it with 5 friends.
Tag somebody in the comments. Click like, click subscribe, tell all your friends, hit follow, rate it, all that shit. Yeah.
Instagram.
Gross.
Not as being cringe.
I'm used to it now at this point. I turned 31 this year. I think that automatically makes me cringe, so it's fine.
That automatically makes you cringe, but if you want to embrace the cringe, I'm not gonna stop you.
Oh, it doesn't bother me anymore. I'm just like, I'm eating it up. I'm just like, yeah, that's fine.
Okay, I love that for you.
I'm trying to get rid of shame.
That's so real. That's something I'm working on in therapy. Embracing all parts of myself.
Yeah, I'm trying not to give a fuck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Who
Like,
needs to give a fuck?
yeah,
Not
like,
me, not you,
or like,
not anybody listening.
or like, give my fucks to something that matters,
Yes.
and
Yes.
not waste my fucks on something that doesn't. This is so ridiculous when I'm saying this. This is cringe, but I'm embracing it. I don't care.
And I love that.
Yeah,
It really is how it needs to be.
I'm
We just
glad
have
that you
to
agree.
Embrace all the parts, all the things, all the
All the bits.
all the. What is this conversation?
I don't know, man. We were so good for like the first hour, and then something happened.
And then now we're just getting a little loopy.
Hey, man, we gotta end goofy. We'll end goofy. It's fine with me.
Honestly, I'm a goofy goober. I'm a silly goose. I love that about myself.
Have you seen that meme where it's like, I'm a silly goose, bringing the silly energy to a bunch of serious geese?
I have not, but I love that.
It's really funny.
That is my energy all the time. I
Yeah.
like go into rooms and afterwards people will be like, I don't understand. Like, I got so like goofy. It's so unlike me. And I'm like, you see what I did there?
Yep. Like, I knew as soon as that we walked in the show, like loading in the gear and stuff, and you were there, and then we started chatting. I was like, oh, this girl's sick. I get this girl.
I just like, I hope I bring enough goofiness that people feel comfortable to be goofy around me.
100%.
That's my goal in life.
I mean, that's probably why like we connected so well at the show, and that's probably why we're having this conversation now. And like,
Exactly.
we're just both a bunch of goofballs in this universe trying to have fun.
I love that for us.
We're a bunch of silly geese in a bunch of serious geese world.
Yeah. And we will spread the silliness. You know?
That's what we're here to do.
Exactly.
Spread that silly goose energy. I don't know what's happening anymore.
Me neither.
We went off the rails. I can't even speak anymore.
Off the. Both work, maybe.
Yeah.
We know what we're talking about.
JoJo, we should write a song together.
I'm so down. I feel like
that'd be fun.
Let's do it.
I feel like that'd be fun. Let's do that.
Okay.
Because I hate when it's like you make a friend and they don't live close to you and then you just never talk to each other. That sucks.
That does suck. And I need to be better at that. So, yes, let's definitely write. And also just stay up to date with each other's lives.
That would be
social media. Please.
That would be great. Yeah, honestly, that would be great.
Yeah.
And I feel like after today's conversation, this always happens all the time when I do this podcast. It's like I'll have the deepest conversation with somebody on a first kind of time basis.
Yeah.
You know?
Like, oh, okay. We learned a lot about each other.
Literally, it's so wild that like, and I'm fucking grateful that people, like people have said very nice things about me, which I'm very, neither here or there about. But people always are just like, you're just so opening and inviting and warm, and like I just feel like I could tell you anything, and I'm like, I'm so honored that people feel that way when they meet me, and I'm so grateful to receive all these stories from everybody. Not to get sentimental here, but
no, but go for it.
I mean, like, and you're included in this. Like, I've only met you once.
Yeah.
That's
not very true.
Like, I met you once for like maybe 2 hours at a show, and like, obviously you seem like a great person, and like, we followed each other on Instagram and stuff, and I've been following you on Instagram, and I'm sure you've been liking my stuff too. So it's like, there's that, but like that was the extent of our.
Yeah, it's not like it was like super
connection,
like deep talk, like here's all the tea and drama in my life.
You know, exactly. And then it's just like, then we come on and do this, and it's like, bam, like everything that like, now I know like your deepest, darkest secrets.
I know, I'm a little bit like, oh, this is going on the internet, but also I write songs about it. So do
So
people really?
they're already on the
I feel
internet
like
already.
they already know. You know, like it's
Exactly.
really not that hard to figure it out.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know. I'm just grateful, and then like, you know, receiving all these cool not cool stories, but stories.
But stories and like it's meaningful
And
to
people's
like have these
journeys and stuff,
conversations.
and get to
Yeah.
share with everybody else that's listening and viewing, and spread that mental health positivity, baby. Let's go.
Let's go. Big heart, little heart.
YMCA. Sorry. Uh,
Also that.
yeah. Okay, JoJo. Is there any final thoughts you want to leave the audience with today? It could be like a message of hope. It could be like some sort of advice or whatever. Is there anything you want to leave the audience with?
I mean, I think it's cheesy and cliche, but as someone who like has found out from like a very hard place that it's true, it's like no matter how like shitty and hard things get, like there's gonna be a day where it changes for you. And it sucks because sometimes it takes like a long time to get there, but like if you don't have the strength to do that, like lean on the people around you and lean on the people who love you and want to be there for you because they're there, even if sometimes you don't feel like they are. So, yeah.
That's such a great note to end on. I love that. That's awesome. That's very wise words from JoJo Scott, everybody. All right, JoJo. Where can people find you if they wanna reach out or support you in any way? Where can they find you?
Yeah, well, y'all know a lot about me, so if you want to chat and tell me about yourself, you can follow me on Instagram at JoJo Scott Music. You can send me a cute little message. I'm very bad at messaging though, so apologies in advance if it takes me 3 months to respond. It's not because I hate you, it's because I have problems. We're working on them, I promise.
Yeah, that's what therapy's for.
Exactly. But yeah, at JoJo Scott Music, I'm on basically every platform, but I'm probably most likely to get back to you on Instagram. Got music out on Spotify and all the streaming places. You just have to look up JoJo Scott. I'm there.
Go check it out, everybody. She's fucking awesome.
I thank you.
Go stream that
Appreciate
shit,
the love.
man. Go follow JoJo on Instagram. Are you on YouTube as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, go check her out on YouTube. Go check out her songs. Do it now. Do it. I'm looking at you.
Yeah,
Do
you're
it.
forced to. You have to do it.
Yeah. If you made it this far in the podcast, you have to
Then
do
you
it.
probably should, yeah. At this point.
You've dedicated an hour and a half of your life to listening to this conversation. The least you can do is go follow JoJo
Yeah, exactly.
and go stream a couple of songs so that we can make 0.03 cents on Spotify.
I don't even think it's 0.03 cents, like even less.
It's a third of a cent.
It's rough out here.
Yeah, we don't make much money. Newsflash.
No, we don't.
Buy some merch. Do you have any merch, JoJo?
I do have merch. It's not online yet, but maybe I can link it
Maybe
to my
JoJo can
website.
ship it to you.
You'll have to pay for the shipping costs because that's expensive.
You have to cover the
But-
shipping costs.
Yeah, from like the US to Canada, that's expensive. But I got you if you want some.
There you go.
Everyone
There you go.
listening, I got some charm bracelets, some stickers. Hit a girl up.
There you go. Hit up JoJo for that $20 sticker.
Honestly, at that point, it probably will be $20.
It probably will be, yeah. Oh, man.
Gosh.
Well, JoJo, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show today.
Thank
This
you
is a
for
blast.
having me.
I mean, like, I definitely learned a lot about you.
Like
Um,
what?
Yeah, no, honestly, like, I feel we both were pretty open and vulnerable today with each other and sharing stories back and
Definitely.
forth. And hey, just thank you so much for believing in the message of what we're trying to do here with a Mental Break podcast and,
Yeah.
you know, spreading mental health awareness and suicide prevention is, you know, it seems like you're a pretty big advocate of that, which is awesome to see. And I'm just super grateful that you wanted to come on and open up.
I mean, yeah, I'm grateful that like you've put this platform together and like you're talking to people and you're being open and like you do this all the time. Like I'm just hopping on for one little episode. Like it's a lot to put yourself out there like that. And so shout out to you for real.
Thank you, JoJo. That means a lot. I appreciate that. But yeah, just thank you for making the time today. This has been great. And obviously stay in touch.
Oh, definitely. We'll get it right set up soon.
Yeah, we will for sure.
Okay.
All right, everybody. Well, thank you so much for watching this episode or listening to this episode. To all those audio listeners, shout out to you guys, those audio listeners. Y'all the real ones. But if you're watching, or if you're just listening to the podcast and you want to watch the more visual aspect, if you're that kind of person that wants to watch more than listen, I film it. You can see JoJo right there and me. Hi, we're on camera. On the Mental Break YouTube page, it's just a Mental Break podcast on YouTube. So go check out the videos. Make sure to give it a like on Spotify and rate it and spread the word. That really helps out the channel. And I always leave with a final thought for my guest and my lovely audience. What will it be today?
Give it to us.
I will say, trust yourself because you are the only one that knows you the best. Take advice when it's necessary, but know that you are truly who you need to be at the end of the day. Drink lots of water. Stay hydrated.
Hydrate.
I have not been drinking water this episode. I feel bad that I'm saying this now. But I will go drink water right after this is done.
I was about to say, you better go drink a glass of water.
I'm going to go drink a gallon of water. And then throw up the gallon of water.
Yeah, that's a lot all at once to chug.
And what else can I say? Let's do a challenge here. I want JoJo and my audience to text or call someone you haven't texted or called in a while and tell them that you love them.
I can do that. That's easy. I've got a whole list of people I can do that to.
There you go. All right, everybody. Well, thank you so much for watching. JoJo, thanks again for being on the show today.
Yes, thank you for having me. Thank you to everybody listening to us ramble.
Yeah.
And go on tangents. It's been fun.
Absolutely. And catch you in the next episode, everybody. Bye.